Assalamu alaikum, ladies, and welcome back to the Balance and Thrive podcast series. Good to have you all here today. And I want to begin today's session with a question. And I want you ladies to answer it as honestly to yourself or share it in the chat if you feel comfortable enough to do that. But when was the last time that you did something just for yourself? Something that wasn't ticking a box off your to-do list. It wasn't improving yourself. It wasn't doing something with the kids. It was just something that you did for you because it actually made you feel good. It made you feel good. And it wasn't a holiday. It wasn't a spa session. It wasn't anything like that. It was just something that you enjoy doing, something that you like doing, and you happily did it without any pressure, without any questions or anything like that. Okay, somebody's saying they did it today, yesterday. Okay, alhamdulillah. Nice. Allahumma barik. Because the title of today's session, does anyone know exactly what it is that our nervous system needs and that it's been waiting for so that it can let go of fat that it's holding? It can let go of stress. It can let go of that exhausting feeling that you keep feeling every day. Does anyone know what it is that your nervous system's actually waiting for? I'd be interested to hear. Safety signals, reset, rest, okay. Calm,
Reward,
okay.
reward.
Reward, okay. Okay, few interesting responses there. Presence, okay. Peace, calm, safety, okay, nice. Because look, ladies, in reality, what I'm going to be talking about today is not something that you need to add into your already busy life, okay? It's about understanding something that we've actually forgotten about. And it's a need that the body has, a biological need. And we just stopped doing it a really long time ago. And because of that, our health has been paying the price. So stay tuned, inshallah. If you are needing something for your nervous system. For those of you who are new here, I'm Faria. I'm a health, wellness, and nutrition coach, and I specialize in circadian and energy health. And just a short disclaimer, everything that we cover here today is for educational purposes only. If you do have a serious medical issue, do reach out to a qualified practitioner. So before we begin, what exactly is the nervous system, right? Because many of us have heard it. You might have seen people talking about it. You know, it has become a bit of a buzzword in the health space. So we say, oh yeah, it might just be the nervous system, but most of us don't really understand it. So I hope, inshallah, at the end of today's session, you'll get it, inshallah. Okay. And the first thing I want to do is just give you a really easy analogy to understand how the nervous system broadly works. If you think of your nervous system as the Wi-Fi signal in your home, okay? Because the nervous system is essentially the communication network of your entire body. Now, this Wi-Fi system that you have in your house, it needs a router, it needs wires, it needs devices, okay? And just like your Wi-Fi, it's invisible, right? But it's constantly there.
Nervous
And
system is like your
every
Wi-Fi.
single device in your home depends on it. Sorry, whoever has their mic unmuted, if you could kindly mute yourself. Jazakallah khair. Every single device in your house depends on your Wi-Fi, right? In the body, your brain would be the router. Your spinal cord would be all those wires. And your organs would be all the devices. Now, as we all know, when that Wi-Fi signal is strong, it's steady, right? We've got all our 4 bars or 3 bars or whatever you have. Everything works as it should, right? No one complains, oh, I can't access the internet or whatever, right? No one's complaining. Because as soon as that signal gets disrupted, everyone wants to know what's happened. Right? You might even get the teens finally coming out of their rooms and coming down the stairs because suddenly the Wi-Fi is not working, right? So in essence, you feel it straight away. As soon as there's an issue with the Wi-Fi, same with as soon as there's an issue with the nervous system, you're going to feel it straight away. Now, the part of the nervous system that we're going to be focusing on today is the autonomic nervous system. Okay, you might have seen it abbreviated as ANS. The word autonomic just means automatic. Okay, so it runs without you even having to think about it. Now, it's got two main parts, two main settings. One of them is the sympathetic nervous system. That's your emergency mode. Okay, most people know it as fight or flight mode. And the other one is your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so with the sympathetic one, your fight or flight, what happens here? This is when your body has to deal with a threat, has to deal with something in an emergency. Okay, in this situation, your heart will beat faster, your muscles will tense, your digestion will slow down. Okay, and all the stress hormones will start flooding your system. Okay, because your body needs to deal with something quickly. Now, in that second system, the parasympathetic system, that you might have heard as the rest and digest mode. Okay, this is the time when your body heals, hormones are made properly, food can get broken down, it can get absorbed. This is where the immune system is at its strongest. Okay, now this is the state that your body was designed to spend most of its time in. Okay, for a lot of us, we struggle to get into this mode or stay in it long enough for our body to actually heal. Now, the way that you can remember these two states, a really easy way is to think of the two pedals in the car, right? You've got your gas and you've got your brake, okay? The sympathetic system, that fight or flight one, is when you've got your foot on the accelerator, okay? You're going fast. It pushes you forward fast because you need it at that time, right? There might be somewhere where you have to run, you have to get out of the way quickly. You're about to, you need to move your hand quickly because it's going to get burnt, whatever it is, right? Now, that parasympathetic system is the brake. That's your ability to slow down, right? You have to press the brake so you can park that car, right? You have to stop the car to allow the engine to cool sometimes. Both of these pedals are essential. The problem is, most women, they have their foot on the accelerator all day long. They've even forgotten where the brake is. Now, a really important thing to understand about the nervous system is that it cannot tell the difference between a genuine physical threat, like a lion is coming towards you, or a mental or emotional one. Okay, your brain does not know the difference between imagination and reality. It doesn't know whether you are running away from a wild animal or you're just worrying about school timing pickups, or something like I've got 5 loads of laundry to do and it's just manic and my house is a mess. And all of these thoughts are going crazy in your mind. Okay? Because it responds in exactly the same way. So that means for many women whose minds are running a constant background track of responsibilities, worries, guilt, mental load, whatever it is, right? This alarm system is never switched off. So the body is never fully at rest, right? She's got her foot on that gas pedal all day long. Over time, this has huge consequences on her health. Okay. So in this study where they looked at prolonged stress, they found that it causes a measurable change in the brain. Okay. It reduces functioning in the areas that are responsible for calm thinking and increases reactivity in the areas that detect threat. So basically, chronic stress, right? When you're constantly on the go, when you've constantly got these things in your mind where you are just maybe even thinking about stuff that has happened, stuff that's going to happen in the future that you think is problematic, right? Stuff that is on your plate right now. That makes everything, being in that situation, it makes everything feel more urgent and it makes everything feel more harder to deal with, more harder than it might actually be. Now, think about it in yourselves, ladies. Which state do you see yourself in most of the time? Mostly at rest or mostly in some kind of alert? Because the body cannot be in two states at the same time. It's one or the other. And just remember, in that emergency mode, everything gets down-regulated. The body goes into full conservation mode because if it's worried about you surviving, digestion is not important. Okay? Your hormones are not important. Your energy levels are not important in that state. The only thing that your body is concerned about is keeping you alive. And that's why it will do that. It will down-regulate everything to protect you. So what has it got to do with energy, weight, and stress? Okay, because once you understand that the nervous system governs everything, then you will start to see that a lot of things that women struggle with, that fatigue, that weight, that doesn't seem to shift even though you're doing everything, that anxiety that you lives in your chest day in, day out, your hormones that feel completely out of control, you'll realize that these are not separate problems. They are the same problem showing up in different places. And I like you ladies to feel empowered with the health situation that you're facing. Not like, I can't do anything about this. I can't do anything except take medication, right? I want you to know that there are options. And we live in a time where we have to take control of our own health and be responsible for it. You just have to now, ladies. And I want you to understand that this is something you can shift. Let's look at your energy systems first. When you are in that stress mode and you don't switch it off, that emergency mode to your body, right? It doesn't prioritize anything else except for keeping you alive. Okay? So making energy at a deep cellular level, it's not priority. Your mitochondria, right? Those tiny parts of your cells that make energy, they are directly suppressed when there's a high level of cortisol in the body. When stress is constant, they work less efficiently. You will produce less energy and you will feel it. It will show up as exhaustion. It will show up as you getting all the sleep in the world and still feeling tired. So, what about weight? Well, if there's high levels of cortisol throughout your body all day long, okay, because cortisol in itself is not necessarily bad, right? It is something that we do produce and it is helpful for the body. But if it is there all day long, then your body receives a very specific signal. And that signal is that times are hard, that we need to hold on to everything. We need to conserve these resources. So it triggers fat storage, particularly around the middle, because that fat is close to the liver and it can be quickly converted to fuel in an emergency. In this situation, it also drives you towards craving for sugar and carbs because glucose is the fastest fuel source. So when you're noticing that afternoon crash, when you're noticing that strong urge for you to have something sweet after your meals, when you're noticing that you don't have any willpower by the evening and you just think, oh yeah, you know what, I've had such a tough day, this is my me time, and you just go for it, right? This is cortisol doing exactly what it is designed to do. The body thinks it's in danger and it's just going to try to keep you going. So what about stress in itself? Okay, the strange irony is that living in a stressed state makes you more sensitive to stress, not less. Okay, because when that part of the brain, which is called the amygdala, it's always scanning for danger. Now, if it's in a constant state of high alert, it becomes hypersensitive. So things that would just, in the past, maybe just roll off your back, on a calm day, you can bear that screaming child, or you can just deal with all the Lego on the floor. Suddenly, it becomes unbearable. So maybe that small comment, it lands on you and it feels like a criticism. That minor inconvenience of, the roadworks. It just triggers this disproportionate reaction from you because you're already stressed. So you become hyper sensitive towards it now. So in this situation, you might feel like, why am I overreacting these days? Like, what's wrong with me? Why am I out of control? But this isn't you, it's your nervous system. And it's a nervous system that's overloaded. And now it's lost its ability to accurately judge what is and isn't a real threat. So in your day to day, you wake up tired, like genuinely you feel unrestored, like you didn't even sleep. That's how it feels. And that's because your nervous system, it never fully switched off at night. It kept the body in a low level state of alert. So instead of repairing and resting, your body was guarding. In this situation, your digestion, it becomes unpredictable. You end up with bloating from things that you had no issue with before. Suddenly you might feel like you need to run to the loo, or you're feeling constipated, you're feeling heavy and uncomfortable after meals that you've had in the past with no issues. Because in a high state of alert, digestion is one of the first things that the sympathetic nervous system shuts down. But it doesn't care about digesting your food in that moment. Digesting your lunch is not a priority when your body is trying to survive. When you are finding in yourself, ladies, at any time that you have these intense sugar cravings, this is cortisol talking. Okay? Every time your blood sugar takes a little dip, cortisol spikes to compensate it. And the brain sends a very loud signal to eat something sweet and fast. In this situation of you being in an emergency mode all the time, you'll notice that your hormones are chaotic. Those PMSs before the cycle, they're getting worse. Your cycles are irregular or painful. You don't have no desire to be intimate. You'll see that you have perimenopausal symptoms that feel so out of proportion. All of these are just a downstream effect of a body that is cortisol dominant. Because when the body's in this survival mode, hormones are just too expensive to deal with. But you know how it is with us, right? If we are on a budget, the expenses, the things that are costing us the most, we let go of. Exactly what the body does. And hormones are way too expensive in that situation. You'll find yourself in the evenings that you can't switch off, even though you've been tired all day long. Your mind is racing. You just sit there scrolling. You're not really resting even. You feel wired and also exhausted at the same time. This particular combination is a hallmark of a nervous system that has forgotten how to come down from high alert. And the other one that we may feel all the time, especially if you've got small kids, you just snap. Because an overloaded nervous system, it loses its buffer. That gap, that pause between stimulus and reaction, it gets smaller and smaller. Things that you normally let go, you just start to fly off the handle about. And here's something that I really want you ladies to understand about this, okay? Because sometimes we remain in this situation for so long that we think this is part of my personality now. This is me. Okay, but all of these things that are happening, because everything that happens is just a signal to you. Your body's communicating in the only language that it has. It's trying to tell you that something it needs has been missing, right? If you have a plant in your garden and that plant is wilting, you're not just going to yank it up from the ground and just say, oh, okay, throw it away, we'll start again, right? You're going to start to try to understand what is missing from this plant. Did I need to water it more? Does it need some better soil? Is it not getting enough sunlight? Right? You give it the right input and you'll notice sometimes this flower comes back, right? The leaves look more greener, more stronger. Your body is doing exactly the same thing. It's waiting for something that it hasn't been given. So now, let's get to the crux of this lesson, inshallah, because no one mentioned it in the chat yet. There is a state that the nervous system needs to be in regularly, one that directly reverses everything we've just described. Most of us have stopped accessing it almost entirely. Yes, but what is that signal? What is that signal that it needs? So most of us, we've heard, and we've just talked about it today, right? The two states of the nervous system, which most people have talked about, most people hear about, fight or flight, and the rest and digest. Okay. But there is also a third state, and that sits above both of these states. And it was identified by the neuroscientist whose name is Dr. Stephen Porges. I've mentioned him before. And it's called the ventral vagal state. And we're just going to call it, for ease, the safety state. Okay? This is the state where your nervous system is not just resting, it's genuinely at ease. You feel safe, You feel connected, you feel present, you feel protected, you feel loved, you feel so light and warm, and you just feel like yourself. There's no shows, there's no ears that need to be on, nothing like this. You feel this quiet aliveness in you that is just different from not being stressed. This is the state that the body heals in most deeply. And it's also the state that is directly activated by something that we are chronically deficient in. That is genuine, absorbed, purposeless enjoyment. Now, the best way that I can get you to remember the three states is if you imagine that your nervous system has three floors, just like a house that has three floors, okay? The ground floor is the emergency mode, all the sirens, all the red lights, that's right at the bottom of the house. The first floor, this is where you can rest, it's quiet, there's some functionality here, you can recover here, right? And then there's the second floor in this house. This is the safety state, right? You might have open windows here, soft lighting, that feeling that everything is okay. Now, most of us women, we just live our entire duration of our lives on the ground floor. And we occasionally visit the first floor, but we barely remember that this second floor even exists. So I don't want to leave you in this state of thinking, okay, we need to access that safety state. We need to get to that second floor and fast. I'm going to tell you exactly how you can get there. What activates this safety state? What activates that second floor is not more sleep. It isn't more supplements. It isn't more discipline. It isn't getting a better doctor. What activates this state is that you do something with no outcome attached to it. Something that is intrinsically motivating. Something that your body does purely because it feels good. Something that we could broadly call lightness or joy, or very specifically, I'm talking about play. I'm talking about play, ladies. Because when you enter that state of play, what happens? In that state, cortisol drops, dopamine rises, your body releases endorphins, the happy hormones that reduce the physical sensation of stress and of pain. And it produces something in your brain called BDNF, which stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is a protein. You can think of it as like, I don't know, some positive fertilizer for your brain. It supports mood, it supports memory and resilience. And it also increases a molecule called nitric oxide, which improves blood flow. It improves oxygen delivery to every cell in your body, including your mitochondria. So, in other words, when you allow yourself to feel genuinely light, your cells work better. Your energy improves. Your hormones have a better environment to function in. Everything downstream of the nervous system gets a chance to rest or reset even. And now, because I want to prove to you, right, as I always said, proof is important. And I want to show you that this is backed by science, not just me telling you, ladies. Research found that mirthful laughter, just laughter, right? And being in a playful state, it significantly lowered cortisol and adrenaline in participants, while simultaneously boosting immune cell activity. These changes were measurable both during and in the hours after the experience. SubhanAllah. And even Stephen Porges, he identified this state, as we said, is called the ventral vagal state. And he said that this is a physiological mode that is associated with social safety and creativity. And when this play system is activated, it dampens the stress response. It promotes conditions that are required for physical and emotional restoration. And even Dr. Stuart Brown, who is a psychiatrist who has spent decades studying this area, he describes that when we don't have this genuine enjoyment, when we don't have play in our adult lives, because look, think about it, right? Many of us, once we got past our teens, maybe early 20s, we stopped, right? We stopped. Just don't do those things anymore, right? And that not being in our lives is one of the most significant and under-recognized drivers of ill health, depression, and rigidity. He found that when adults were chronically deprived of play, they became less emotionally resilient. They were less creative. They were less able to recover from difficulty. The nervous system in this situation quite literally loses its flexibility. So I ask you, my dear sisters, when was the last time you just played? You had fun, you smiled, you laughed. When did you do that? Now, as you regular listeners to my podcast series know, I always like to give you a practical takeaway, even with something like this, because information is nothing without action. Okay. And I know some of you might be thinking right now, okay, I don't have time to play, right? It feels silly. Okay. And I don't even know where to start with this. All my kids are teens. They're just going to be laughing at me, right? Or, I can't even do this with all the other 100 things I've got to do, right? And this is exactly what your nervous system is thinking, because it's been in survival for so long that it doesn't even recognize how something like this could help. But that resistance that you're feeling is an even more important reason to do it. Okay, now if you've got kids, alhamdulillah, and they're young, this can be easy. Just play with them. Like, don't oversee them. Don't be sitting on the sofa while they've got an activity out. Like, actually play with them. Get on the floor, run around, play with the ball. Like, be silly with them, right? Let the child lead in how the play should go. Like, even just 10 minutes of this, it just gets them and even you to just laugh and smile. And it might even provoke those little arms to throw themselves around your neck and tell them and to tell you just how much they love you, right? To see this side of mommy that they haven't seen in a long time. Because this kind of interaction, it helps their nervous system as much as it helps yours. If you've got grandkids, do it with them, right? Nephews, nieces, whatever. Now, if you need something just for you, maybe you don't have small kids around you that you see very often, just think back. What did you love to do before life got busy? Before you got married, before you had the kids, before all the other difficulties, responsibilities started dawning upon you? Was it baking? Was it drawing? Was it sports even? What was it? Just pick one of them. Pick something that you really, really enjoy doing just for you. And just put 15 minutes aside, just once a week to start with, and just make it your non-negotiable. And even if 15 minutes feels impossible right now, start with less. Like just start with a micro moment of doing it just for you. Because these small but direct signals to your nervous system, they send it that signal, that message that is safe to come down from this high alert. And if you want to try something social, then that's great too. Like think about an activity that you could do with another sister, a friend, because together you'll be co-regulating each other, right? The goal here is just to give yourself full permission to enjoy something without apology, without even a reason. Ever since I learned the impact of the nervous system and just how simple things could really help it, I've now made nervous system work an integral part of my coaching program. And this is just the kind of feedback that I've received from sisters who have started to do small things like this. Alhamdulillah, after 3 weeks, I can see a clear change in my weight and my mood swings. How are you feeling in yourself? Quite good. My moods are definitely better. So it can happen very, very quickly, ladies. My mood has improved. I no longer sweat the small stuff and get irritated by small stuff. Chatting to you on our first session has given me a mind shift and put things into perspective, right? Usually a week before my periods, I would have headaches and be really angry with my immediate family members, just for little things and just be emotional. So far, I haven't experienced all of the above, right? She said that her moods have improved a lot. And this is that I'm actually feeling really good and I haven't felt this way in a long time. And this testimonial, subhanAllah, where this sister shared with me that she was so grateful to have realized that it was her nervous system that needed attention. And she said, the improvement in my nervous system in turn has helped me show up as a better, more confident version of myself. After 22 years in the same job, I've actually changed job roles, and it didn't happen just overnight. It happened because with your advice and with the permission of Allah, my nervous system has been reset. Imagine that, subhanAllah. And this testimonial she sent me was just after one session. Allahumma barik alayha. So ladies, today, start a small practice of playing. Because your body, right, it didn't forget how to feel light. Didn't forget that. It just learned somewhere along this journey that it wasn't safe to feel that way, that rest had to be earned, that joy was something that came after everything else is done, that playing is only for kids. But today I want to offer you a different idea. What if simply playing was part of the medicine that you've been missing? What if your body has been asking for this all along? And what it has needed was not another supplement or another habit, but just simply your permission to enjoy being alive. Every time you give yourself that, even it's for 5 or 10 minutes, you send your nervous system a message that it has been waiting to receive. And that message is, we are safe. We are not just surviving. We are allowed to be here fully and to feel good in our bodies that Allah has blessed us with. Alhamdulillah. And your cells, they are listening to every single word. So ladies, I want you to go today and give that a go. and report back to me in the group or via DM or in the comment section if you are listening to this as recording, because play is how the body remembers that it is safe. Jazakallahu khairan for being here today. Take care of yourselves. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.